Lara Mendoza was born in the heart of Manila, where the noise of the streets mixed with the hum of life. Every morning, she would walk barefoot through narrow alleys with her small guitar, her voice echoing off tin rooftops as she sang to earn coins. People stopped and listened not because she was loud, but because there was something heavenly in the way she sang, soft, emotional, and pure. The locals called her the Nightingale of Manila. She sang love songs, old Filipino ballads, and sometimes her own creations about dreams, hope, and loss. Her mother, bedridden and weak, would listen from their small room in a wooden house, smiling proudly every time Lara returned with a few pesos and a handful of kind words from strangers. Singing was not just her gift, it was her way of surviving. Even in her struggles, Lara never complained. She spent nights writing lyrics on old pieces of paper, her heart filled with the desire to give her mother a better life. But deep down, she believed no one outside her little street would ever hear her voice. One humid afternoon, as she sang, "Bukas na lang kita mamahalin," a foreign tourist stopped to record her on his phone. He was mesmerized by her voice and asked if he could post the video online. Lara shyly agreed, not thinking much of it. That simple video, shot in the middle of the bustling market with honking jeepneys and laughing children in the background, became the turning point of her life. The man uploaded the video to social media with the caption, "The voice of an angel from Manila." Within days, the clip spread like wildfire. People from all over the Philippines began sharing it, then from around the world. Lara's voice transcended language, even those who didn't understand Tagalog could feel the emotion behind every note. News programs featured her, and radio stations played her songs. She couldn't believe it when a local TV crew came to interview her in her small home. Overnight, she became a symbol of hope, a young woman who, despite poverty, carried the voice of a star. But with attention came choices. Some talent scouts offered her quick fame, but she refused anything that took her away from her mother. Her only dream was simple, to sing and to heal the one person she loved most. Then one morning, an email arrived in her inbox. It was from the producers of America's Got Talent. They had seen her viral video and wanted her to audition in Los Angeles. Lara froze, staring at the screen, tears forming in her eyes. It was the kind of opportunity people waited for all their lives, yet the timing couldn't have been harder. Her mother's condition was worsening, and the cost of travel was impossible for a poor girl like her. Still, her mother took her hand and said softly, "Go, Anik. The world needs to hear you sing." Those words gave Lara the courage to chase what once felt unreachable. After weeks of preparation, the day finally came. Lara stepped onto the stage of America's Got Talent, in front of a massive crowd. The bright lights were blinding, and her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it through the microphone. The judges asked where she was from, and she answered, "I'm from the Philippines." Her voice trembled, but her eyes held quiet determination. When the music began, everything else disappeared. She sang with every piece of her soul, her voice filled with emotion that silenced the crowd. Simon Cowell's usual serious face softened, and the audience rose to their feet before she even finished. When the last note faded, the entire hall erupted in applause. Tears streamed down Lara's face as she covered her mouth, overwhelmed by what was happening. Then the golden confetti fell, the golden buzzer. The judges ran to the stage, hugging her, calling her the Filipina Nightingale. It was a moment the world would never forget. Her story spread across every platform, her name trending worldwide. Back home, her mother watched the performance from their small TV, crying tears of pride and joy. Lara had done it. She had sung her way from the streets of Manila to the grand stage of America, proving that even the humblest beginnings can lead to the most extraordinary dreams. The days following her golden buzzer moment felt like a dream Lara couldn't wake up from. Everywhere she went, people recognized her. Cameras followed her backstage, interviewers asked her about her life in the Philippines, and children in her hometown painted her name on cardboard signs. She wasn't just a contestant anymore, she was a symbol of hope for everyone who had ever been told they weren't enough. Still, fame didn't change Lara. She stayed the same humble girl who prayed before every performance and called her mother every night, no matter how late it was. "Mama, I'm singing for you," she would whisper into the phone, her eyes glistening under the studio lights. Her mother always replied, "I'm listening, Anik. Always." As the competition moved into the next rounds, Lara faced bigger expectations. The producers encouraged her to choose powerful songs that would, wow the crowd, but Lara preferred to sing what felt true to her heart. Her next performance was, You Raise Me Up, and from the first note, she commanded the stage with such sincerity that even the judges seemed frozen. The way she sang wasn't about showing off, it was about reaching the audience's soul. When she hit the final note, the crowd roared. Simon Cowell stood and said, You don't just sing, you heal people when you sing. The compliment made her smile through tears, but backstage, she coughed violently, covering it with her hand so no one would notice. She didn't want to worry anyone, especially not her mother. Over the next few weeks, Lara's body began to weaken. The long rehearsals, jet lag, and pressure to perform took a toll. She often stayed up late writing songs, ignoring the pain in her chest. One evening, during a rehearsal, she fainted. When she woke up in the dressing room surrounded by medics, the producers insisted she rest, but Lara refused to quit. A doctor later confirmed her worst fear: she had been battling a severe illness for years, one she couldn't afford to treat in the Philippines. Her heart sank, but she smiled through it. If this is my time, she told her manager softly, I want to use it singing. The story leaked to the press, and soon the world learned about her illness. Fans sent thousands of letters and prayers. She received offers from hospitals and charities, but she insisted on finishing the competition. During the semi-finals, she walked onto the stage wearing a simple white dress and held her charm necklace tightly. Before the music started, she said, This song is for my mother, and for anyone fighting for another chance to live. Then she sang the prayer. Every lyric sounded like a goodbye, and the emotion in her voice was unbearable. The audience wept openly, and even the judges could barely speak. When the song ended, the silence that followed was heavier than applause. Then the crowd erupted, chanting her name over and over again. Lara smiled weakly and waved, but her eyes seemed distant, like she already knew what was coming next. Backstage, her team begged her to take a break before the finals, but she wouldn't listen. She wanted to give one last performance that people would never forget. She spent nights writing her own song titled, Fly Me Home, pouring every memory, fear, and dream into its lyrics. The words spoke of love, faith, and letting go. When the day of the finals arrived, Lara stepped onto the stage for what would become her most iconic moment. The music started softly, and her fragile voice carried the first verse like a prayer. Every note rose higher than her pain. The judges didn't move, the audience stood in reverent silence, hanging onto every sound she made. As she reached the final chorus, her voice cracked slightly, but she kept singing. The entire hall filled with emotion. Some cried, some held hands, others just closed their eyes to listen. When the last note faded, there was no sound for several seconds. Then, the applause came like thunder. She didn't win the competition, but no one cared. In the eyes of millions, Lara had already won something far greater: she had won hearts. That night, she collapsed in her hotel room, exhausted but smiling. A few days later, she flew back to the Philippines to reunite with her mother. The cameras followed her arrival, but soon the headlines would turn somber. The Filipina Nightingale, the girl who shook the world with her voice, had given everything she had to the music she loved. Her final song, Fly Me Home, would become her farewell to the world that finally heard her sing. The morning sun broke gently through the hospital window as Lara's mother sat beside her daughter, holding her hand. Lara was thinner now, her once radiant eyes softer but still full of peace. She had returned home after her journey in America, not as a champion with a trophy, but as a legend with a story that had touched the world. Her final performance, Fly Me Home, continued to play on every platform, collecting millions of views each day. People around the globe shared messages of how her voice had inspired them to keep living, to keep dreaming, and to never give up. Yet, as the world celebrated her, Lara quietly battled her illness in private, shielding her mother from the pain she felt every night. She had always said that music was her medicine, and even now, she proved it. From her hospital bed, she hummed melodies, sometimes recording short videos for her fans with a small smile. Thank you for listening, she whispered in one of them, her voice delicate but steady. You've made my dream come true. She spent her days surrounded by letters and gifts from around the world, flowers from fans, sketches of her on stage, and handmade cards from children who said they wanted to be like her. Lara's mother often cried quietly, overwhelmed by how far her daughter had come. "You made the whole world listen," she said one night, brushing Lara's hair gently. Lara smiled and replied softly, "Mama, they weren't listening to me, they were listening to the love I sang with." As her strength faded, Lara made one last request, to record a final message for her fans. Propped up on pillows, her hair tied back, she looked into the camera with a faint but sincere smile. "Don't cry for me," she said. "I've had a beautiful life because of your love. Keep singing, keep dreaming, and always be kind." It was simple, yet her words carried the power of her spirit. The next morning, as the world prepared for another day, Lara Mendoza passed away peacefully in her sleep, holding her mother's hand. News of her passing spread across the globe like wildfire. Social media flooded with tributes, people posted her songs, shared her story, and wrote how her courage had changed them. Television anchors spoke through tears, calling her the voice that healed hearts. In the Philippines, candlelight vigils were held, and thousands of people gathered in public parks to sing her songs together, their voices blending into one. Her funeral was attended by fans, fellow artists, and even representatives from America's Got Talent. Simon Cowell sent a letter saying, "Lara reminded the world that true talent doesn't come from fame, it comes from the heart." Her mother, though broken, stood tall and thanked everyone who had loved her daughter. She said, "My daughter sang to live, and now she lives through her song." The church was filled with flowers, and as the choir sang, "Fly Me Home," even the most stoic faces turned away to hide their tears. Lara's resting place became a site of pilgrimage for people who believed in her message of hope. In the years that followed, Lara's legacy only grew stronger. A foundation was created in her name, the Lara Mendoza Foundation for Young Voices, offering scholarships to talented singers from poor communities. Her story was turned into a documentary that won international awards, and her audition video became one of the most viewed in AGT history. Children in schools learned about her as a symbol of resilience, and street performers in Manila often sang her songs as a tribute. Her mother continued to live quietly, visiting her daughter's grave every week with fresh white roses. She often played Lara's songs on a small speaker, whispering, "You're still here, Anik." Years later, during the anniversary of her passing, AGT aired a special tribute episode titled, "The Nightingale of Manila." It featured unseen footage of Lara rehearsing, laughing, and sharing advice with other contestants. As the show ended, they played her final song, "Fly Me Home," against a backdrop of her smiling under the golden confetti. The world watched in silence once again, feeling the same emotion they did the first time they heard her sing. Her voice, delicate yet powerful, echoed through living rooms and hearts across the planet. Even though Lara Mendoza was gone, her music continued to inspire generations. She became more than a singer, she became a symbol of love, courage, and the power of a dream. People said that when they listened to her songs at night, they felt peace, as if her voice was still there, whispering from somewhere beyond. The Filipina Nightingale had flown home, but her song never stopped playing. It lived on in the hearts of millions who believed, just as she once did, that even the smallest voice could change the world.